Read Aloud Story, Volume 1. BoodleBobs Stories, written and narrated by Jo Kemp. Raj the Rambling Radiator.
This is a story all about Raj. And yes, he's a radiator. It didn't matter how hot it was. It could never be too hot for Raj. So it was just as well he was a radiator. "Bring me damp towels," he called from across the hall. "Bring me your wet washing and your socks." Anything that was cold or damp or just plain soaking wet loved Raj. And there was always room for one more on top. Timmy, his friend, had been hanging out on the line and had got frozen. I think I'm getting a cold," he sneezed. "Come and sit on my head while I find you some honey for your cold," said Raj kindly. And with Timmy on his head, they went into the garden. "I need some honey," he called. And Big Fat Bee came and landed beside him. "Follow me," said Big Fat Bee, and led Raj towards the rhododendron bush. Rhododendron is how you say it. "Wait here," he buzzed. "I'll be back as soon as I can." Raj had just settled down to wait when two long pink sticks came and planted themselves in front of him. "Oh, I've been imprisoned," he panicked. "I am a prisoner." And he shook the sticks as hard as he could. No, you haven't," said a large pink head, which dropped into view. "You're just shaking a leg. Well, two actually. Mine." The legs stepped back and Pink Fedora came into view. I was wondering, have you seen my egg?" she asked. Raj didn't quite know what to say. "Your egg?" he said, sounding puzzled. "No, I am very sorry, I have not." "Oh, that's a shame," said Pink Fedora sadly. "It rolled away, and if it gets cold—" Cold, said Raj, horrified. No, we cannot have that. Come, we must quickly go and find it." Just at that moment, Big Fat Bee came back and wanted to know what all the fuss was about. It's a large blue egg," explained Fedora, "but please hurry." "It cannot go cold," finished Raj. I'll get the squad together," said Big Fat Bee, summoning his friends, who were soon zigzagging over the garden. It didn't take them long to find the missing egg. But there was a problem. Sitting next to the egg was Ratty, and the only thing on his mind was breakfast, and a lovely big blue egg would do nicely. "Oh, no you don't," shouted Raj, and with a bit of quick thinking, he grabbed Timmy, swirled him around and around, and flicked. "Oh, ouch!" squealed Rat. "Oh, ouch!" squealed Timmy. "Oh, that really hurt!" They both squealed together. But it did the trick. Ratty forgot all about breakfast and decided the best thing he could do was make a run for it. Tenderly, Pink Fedora nuzzled her egg. "Oh, it's still warm," she sighed with relief. "But it needs to be warmer," added Raj. "Timmy, can you help me?" Timmy was only too happy to help. He wrapped himself gently around the egg as Raj sat them both on his flat, warm head. And then they waited. And they waited until a small crack appeared, and out popped a baby pink flamingo.
"Mama,"
she exclaimed, in a surprisingly deep voice, and wrapped her tiny wings around Raj.
"Dad,"
she chuckled as she looked up, then embraced the long pink legs of her mummy. And that was it, really. Wherever Raj went, he was followed by a baby pink flamingo called Flora, holding Timmy in her beak. And wherever Flora went, Pink Fedora went too. "I think we are a very happy family," smiled Raj contentedly, and radiated.
Josie the Jolly Jam Jar.
This is a story all about Josie. And yes, she's a jam jar. Josie wasn't sure if she was strawberry jam, raspberry jam, or even traffic jam. All she really cared about was being jolly and having a jolly good time. She was always humming and whistling, especially whistling. And she liked listening to the birds, who were pretty good at whistling too. "Hi, Josie, tweet, tweet," said little Jenny Wren. "Isn't it a beautiful day?" "It jolly well is," agreed Josie, and set off for a jolly good walk around the garden. She bumped into Queenie the quilt. Have you seen my necklace?" she asked, just as Dorothy the donut rolled up and asked, "Have you seen my bracelet?" It would seem that all sorts of shiny things had gone missing. I'll keep an eye open for them," said Josie. "In fact, I'll keep both eyes open." And she laughed as she made her way down the path. But then she heard a terrible kerfuffle. Magpie had cornered little Jenny Wren. He screeched, sounding like a big box of matches. "It's a shame you're not big enough for my dinner, but you'll make a very tasty snack." And in a flurry of black and white, he lunged at little Jenny Wren. But quick as a flash, Josie jumped in between them. And he snatched up Josie instead. "Oh, I can't eat you," he exclaimed crossly, which is when he noticed how nice and shiny she was. Now a very strange thing happens when a magpie sees himself in something shiny. He becomes hypnotized. "Put me down," said Josie crossly. And guess what? He did exactly what he was told to do. Magpie then just stood there with his black beady eyes going around and around. "Hey, what's up with him?" asked Jenny Wren cautiously. I think he's hypnotized," said Josie, taking a closer look. Jenny Wren laughed and clapped her wings in glee. Go and bring me some berries," she ordered, and without saying a word, off he went. Moments later, he came back with a bag full. Jenny Wren thought this was marvellous. What's going on?" asked Queenie and Dorothy, eyeing Magpie. He's hypnotized," explained Josie. "Ask him to find and bring back your necklace." "Oh, and my bracelet," added Dorothy. So they did, and in no time at all, he fluttered back carrying both. "Oh, how wonderful," said Dorothy, then wondered. Will he really do anything? Will he, take me for a ride?" Magpie stood there placidly as Dorothy climbed up onto Magpie's back and nestled in his black feathers. Take her for a ride around the garden," ordered Josie. Well, Dorothy had the best time ever. "Isn't it fantastic? We can do this whenever we like. And we only need to click our fingers. Click! Just like that." Queenie paled. She knew, like everyone else except Dorothy, that the way to wake someone up from a trance was with a click of the fingers. Of course. Magpie woke up. He screeched, sounding like an even bigger box of matches, and angrily tipped Dorothy off. "Ah!" she squealed as she dropped through the trees, until a long grey trunk reached out and caught her. What a relief. "If you're ever up a tree, call for me," smiled Elsie the elephant, as she lowered Dorothy gently to the ground. "And if you're ever in a jam, here I am," added Josie, The end.
Wally the Wobbling Wellington.
This is a story all about Wally. And yes, he's a Wellington. Wally was a Wellington. A bright yellow Wellington, well, he was when he was clean, who had a brother called Willie. Willie was always clean, sensible, and in the proper place, whereas Wally wasn't. He was always the Wellington that was lost, or muddy, or wobbly. "Try and smarten yourself up," said Willie. "Wobbling about all over the place is very untidy." Wally sighed. He found standing still very difficult, because the tufty mat in the hall tickled him. The floor with its mirror-polished shine tickled him. But that was nothing compared to the socks. "Oh no," gasped Wally as the socks came running. They were the big fluffy striped ones, and Wally knew they were terribly, terribly ticklish. Just seeing them was enough to set him off. He giggled, then he wiggled and wobbled, so much so that he sent the socks flying. Right up the hall, where he wobbled off into the garden. Hey, watch where you're going," said Spicer the spider. Wally stopped giggling and explained about his wobbling. "Ah, ticklish, eh?" said Spicer. "OK, let's tire out that tickle." And using his 8 hairy legs, he tickled Wally as hard as he could. Squealed Wally, all tickled out. "I'll never, ever be ticklish again." But then a feather floated down on his nose, and he started giggling and wobbling again. Snodgrass the snail arrived and took a long, slow look at Wally. Why don't you think very slowly? Then, by the time you've been tickled, the tickle will have gone." So Wally tried. He thought as slowly as he could, then tickled himself and giggled at once. It must only work on snails. Bertha the barrel had been watching. "So you want to stop being ticklish," she said, and Wally explained about the socks. "I see," said Bertha, pulling out a large blue book and thumbing through the soggy pages, found the one she was looking for. The Cure for Ticklishness. Bertha's book had a cure for everything, and the answer was always washing. I don't like the sound of that," faltered Wally. But before he could say anything, Bertha began. Poor Wally. He got soap in his eyes and soap in his ears. He spluttered and choked as Bertha scrubbed harder and harder, and to make matters worse, she sang at the top of her voice. Then, when the washing was done, the squeezing began, and Bertha had very strong arms. "Oh!" moaned Wally as Bertha squeezed him until he was dizzy. "There," she said. "Now you stand still until you're perfectly dry, and you'll find that your tickle has gone." Wally didn't want to argue. not with someone as bossy as Bertha. So he shivered and waited and waited. "Oh, gosh," he said as soon as he was dry. I'm all clean and shiny and very unwobbly. In fact, I'm just like Willy." And talking of Willy, there he was hopping across the lawn towards him with the socks running and laughing after him. "Hey," said Willy, "look at you. You're all clean and shiny, just like me." They stood together side by side, and the socks couldn't tell one from the other. "Let's go for them both," they laughed. "We'll soon find out which is Willy and which is Wally." The socks clambered all over and inside them. Wally shut his eyes and took a deep breath. But guess what? There was no tickle, no giggle or wriggle, and only the tiniest wobble.
Eva, the energetic egg timer.
This is a story all about Eva. And yes, she's an egg timer. Because timing eggs only takes minutes, Eva had a lot of time on her hands. It gave her time to think, so she thought a lot about chocolate. Bars of chocolate, boxes of chocolate, chocolate biscuits, chocolate cake, anything, so long as it was chocolate. But there had to be more to life than chocolate. Just then Freddie scratched his nose, and this gave Eva an idea. "Oh, I wonder how many times he does that in a minute. In fact, I wonder who does what, how often and when." So she started timing everyone, and everyone soon got very fed up. "Oh, stop," said Ivy, putting her hands over her ears. "We're all tired of being timed and told about it. Please, please go back to timing eggs. In fact, why don't you go and find out how long it takes to lay an egg?" Well, Eva thought this was a brilliant idea. So without wasting a minute, she dashed off and arrived at the hen house, where two lovely soft hens were chattering about what hens always chatter about: eggs. They laughed when they saw Eva. "Oh, my word and glory be! Now there's a funny thing to see in a hen house." "Can I time how long it takes you to lay an egg?" asked Eva. "Oh yes, but we can't be hurried," they clucked. "You can't hurry an egg. Oh no, dearie me, no." So Eva set her timer and settled down. But then suddenly something terrible happened. A black, shiny nose poked into the hen house. And under that nose were big, sharp teeth. It was Ferdinand the fox. "Good afternoon, ladies," he said slyly. "I've come for my tea." And he slavered and licked his lips. "Oh, cluck! Oh, cluck, it's a fox!" flapped Henrietta. And in a flash of foxy red fur, Ferdinand pounced into the hen house. But much to his surprise, there was Eva. Oh, no, you don't," she said angrily, just as her alarm went off. Ring! "Oh, what the flippin' heck was that?" exclaimed Ferdinand. And he tripped over his tail and landed at the feet of Cornelius, a large and magnificent cockerel, who gave him a well-placed peck. "Yow!" squealed Ferdinand as he hightailed it out of the hen house. "Oh, and whom, may I ask, are you?" Cornelius inquired, looking down at Eva. Poor Eva was terrified. Never before had she seen such a huge, magnificent cockerel. "Now you leave her be," said Henrietta. "Eva here just saved us from being eaten by that wicked old fox." I'm just an egg timer," Eva stuttered. "Huh, a fox scarer, more like," boomed Cornelius, lowering his magnificent head. "How would you like to come here more often, I'd like that very much," whispered Eva. Back in the kitchen, Eva told Ivy all about her adventure. "Well, I never," she said, just as Cornelius strutted in, and it was Ivy's turn to tremble. Ivy had seen many cockerels in her time, but never one as big and as magnificent as Cornelius. "This is to say thank you," he said gently, and presented Eva with a large brown egg. It was a most beautiful large brown egg. It was the most beautiful egg she'd ever seen, because as Eva was soon to find out, it was an egg made entirely of chocolate.
Zac the Zealous Zucchini.
This is a story all about Zac. And yes, he's a zucchini. But what on earth is a zucchini? Well, a zucchini is how you say it, but that doesn't tell you what it is. Well, anyway, Zac was one, and he loved anything Italian. "Mamma mia," he gushed, tossing his head, shaking the enormous flower that grew out of it. "I am pure theatre." "I'm an actor," he said dramatically, taking long green strides round the kitchen, "from the famous Zucchini family." "No, you're not," muttered Eva. You're a glorified courgette, one step away from a marrow." "A marrow?" gasped Zac, feigning a swoon. "Why, the very idea." But he'd show them what a good actor he was, although firstly he needed an audience, and it seemed that everyone was too busy. However, someone was watching. A large fly on the wall. "Oh, we'll watch anything," said Freddie. Boris was keen to start rehearsals. "Imagine you're a tree," he said helpfully. "But I don't want to be a tree," thought Zac. I want to be Zorro or Batman." But he had to start somewhere, so he thought tree thoughts. "I am a tree," he chanted. "I am wood." And he was very wooden. "I'm thinking bark," he continued. But when someone sniggered and said, "Woof," the spell was broken. "Oh, this is hopeless," he felt. "Why don't you put on a proper play?" piped up Tina. I happen to have one here. It's about a princess who's been captured by a wicked witch and is saved by a handsome prince."
No!
"A handsome prince called Prince Zac." "That's a fantastic story," beamed Zac. "And I can be Prince Zac." "Exactly," agreed Tina and grinned. "And I'll be the Wicked Witch." But what about the princess?" "How about Greta?" said Boris, producing Greta from out of the cupboard. No, protested Greta. "I want to be alone." "And so you will be," said Tina. "You'll be my prisoner, then Prince Zac will save you." Soon the stage was set. The curtain was down, the audience hushed, and the actors waited nervously in the wings. "Oh dear, we need someone to raise the curtain," hissed Tina in a loud, staid whisper. "I'll do it," said Freddie, and, taking up two corners, he buzzed up to the ceiling and hovered. A silence fell. The curtain went up, revealing Zac, centre stage and frozen. All he could do was blink, and all you could hear was a pin drop. But then Tina the Wicked Witch came up behind Zac and burst a large paper bag. Bang! "What did you do that for?" he spluttered. It's a sound effect," she laughed. "It's thunder. Or didn't you read the script?" No, Zac hadn't bothered, so now he'd have to busk it. Greta came on stage. Save me, she cried on cue. "Save you for what?" said Zac, just as someone let out a gigantic gigantic sneeze. It was Freddie who, reaching for a hanky, let go of the curtain which came crashing down on Greta. But in the nick of time, Zac dived across the stage and saved Greta from being buried under a mountain of velvet. The audience went wild, stood up and applauded loudly. Zac, the handsome prince, had saved Greta the beautiful princess, and the wicked witch was lost forever. Well, at least for the time being. Was that supposed to happen? Asked Boris suspiciously when they were backstage. Oh yes, lied Zac nonchalantly and shook his flower. I may not have brought the curtain down, but I certainly brought the house down. Autograph, anyone?
And now a special message from Roger.
Share my perfect love. Go on, let's break the internet. I am Roger, lover, creator, philanthropist, artist, intellectual thinker, patron of the arts, voice of a generation, athlete, role model, inspiration to people. If you look in the dictionary under legend, it says Roger. I could go on, but I have more important things to do. Tell me again. Yes, you love me, right? Yeah, I complete you, yes? Looking up from the wine I see a face staring back so sweet, passing glances of a face I see, with a love so right for me. He's taken such a long, long time to find a love to last all time. I've been looking for the perfect love. We are searching for the perfect love, and I can't believe it took so long to see. Only one thing sets my heart free, and that perfect love is me. All the years that I've roamed, looking for the perfect one. Last I see futility. No one can match my mother's son. He's taken such a long, long time. Find a love to last all time. I've been looking for a perfect love. We are searching for the perfect love, and I can't believe it took so long to see. Only one thing sets my heart free, and that perfect love is me. And everyone can see it. Women smile, I get the gist. what everyone is saying. I can't believe such beauty still exists, but it does. I've been looking for a perfect love. We are searching for the perfect love, and I can't believe it took so long to see. Only one thing sets my heart free, and that perfect love is me.